Hi guys. So, if you're observant, you may notice there is a cover on my pool table behind me. I've been instructed to lay off from playing pool for a while, not permanently. I actually was instructed to take the month of January off, and I backtracked on that, and I got yelled at by my doctor. Um, the thing is, my elbow is not going to heal as long as I keep doing the same thing that essentially made it bad in the first place. And I do have an infection of sorts in my elbow, but the repetitive movement of shooting and shooting hard for the most part, well, it's made it worse. And so, yeah, I'm going to attempt to take the rest of the month of January off. What is it right now? The 13th of January. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take that much time off for playing pool. This is my passion. I obviously I like to play pool. Love to play pool. We'll just see, how that goes. If I go another week or two and don't see any improvement whatsoever, then I may just say, well, screw it and start shooting again. But if I do see some improvement, and I've been told that I will see some improvement, that may motivate me to stick it out for the entire month. And then I'll check everything again and see if anything's better. I don't have any, I'm in the dark. You guys are certainly in the dark. I'm just as much in the dark. Doctors do not say, oh, I guarantee you this is going to cure you. They say this will increase your odds of it getting better. And so that's, I've got to try to increase my odds of getting better so I can start playing again and having fun with it again instead of basically gritting through the pain that I've been feeling for quite a while now trying to shoot. We'll just see. So um, if I do any more videos, which I want to, but the thing is I don't have any topics. But if I do any more videos here in the next month or so, they're probably going to be sitting here at my bar because I don't even want to be tempted by having a pool table back there. I am tempted by having a pool table back there, but I'm also kind of lazy, and the whole effort of taking the cover off and all that may make it less likely that I'm going to actually take the cover off and start shooting. So we're just going to have to see. And I know that's what everybody just kind of muddles through life for the most part. And that's what I'm doing right now, muddling through this period of my life and seeing, what happens. Does it get better, worse, whatever? And try not to, argue with fate, because it's doing any good. I don't have a whole lot else besides just that little brief update. I do just want to point out that the pool world lost a really cool guy in Joe Salazar. There's going to be a lot of people that never heard of Joe Salazar. Joe Salazar was a very good player back in his heyday as a player, but I think he was better known over the last 25 years, by me especially, as the connoisseur of high-end pool cues. Of my 40 pool cues, I bet I've gotten at least 10 of them from Joe over the years. I got my first ever Predator 314 shafts, a matching set from Joe at Derby City in like the year 2000. You hear people talk about, Derby City icons. Danny DiLiberto was one. He was there every year until the last few years when help prevented him from coming. He was there every year. Well, Joe was there every year I ever went. And I always used to tell him, it doesn't ever seem like Derby City until I see you at your booth, Joe. Because he was always there and always friendly and nice and everything. Um, yeah, the pool world lost a really good guy. here within the last several days. And Joe Salazar. I wish I known him better, but I didn't. I knew him from, Derby City and buying cues and trading cues and such. I got a Richard Black from him a couple years ago in a trade. And then, I don't know, for me, it was kind of funny. I think I've talked about this before, but I have nothing if not redundant. I sent that Richard Black cue down to the guy that does Richard Black's repair work. And they went some, back and forth and stuff. I wanted to get an extension bumper if possible. I wanted to get some cleaning done. I wanted to see about maybe getting some type of a signature on the cue. Anyway, I guess Richard Black checked his records and he never sold the cue to Joe Salazar. And so they called me back like, man, the implication was that they thought, well, heck, maybe this cue was stolen. No, it wasn't stolen. Joe bought cues and sold cues and traded cues and all this and that. It was just kind of funny. And I remember talking to Joe about that, and it wasn't the first time he'd come across something like that. But yeah, I wish I had more guys. I just don't right now. I'm still, kind of reeling a little bit from this realization that while there is a pool table, I don't get to play on it. For a week or two or three or however long it takes. This is not supposed to be a permanent thing. I am supposed to get better, but as I said, doctors don't guarantee anything. It will increase my odds of being able to play again and enjoy it again if I basically suffer through, this summer, this month, or whatever, and not play and not do anything weird that could make this worse than it is already. And, annoyingly enough, it's perfectly fine right now. It's perfectly fine when I'm not moving it, but when I move it, yeah, it does hurt. And I have, suffered through it. A lot of people have gone through a lot worse things than me on this. So I've definitely never been looking for pity on this. Just, a little bit of, I guess, understanding and such. So if you feel like, oh man, I want Dave to put out more pool videos for whatever reason, I do try to make them entertaining, but anyway, it's not going to be as much. It's not going to be a lot of pool. It's going to be a lot of me sitting here and yammering, I would imagine. So, as always, if anybody has any questions or whatever that I can try to answer without having to try to demonstrate it, I'm absolutely here and I will do it. Because I want to keep the YouTube thing going. I don't want this break that I'm taking to kill what little momentum I've had into, growing the YouTube memberships and support and all that. So I think I'm going to stop this because I really feel like I'm starting to ramble right now. So I'm going to stop this video and I will be back, as often as I'm back. I wish I could narrow that down or be more specific, but right now I just can't. Thanks, guys.